Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi and very good day everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain to you about methods. So this is the part 1. We will have another part 2. So as an introduction, a method is a group of statements that exist within a program for the purpose of performing a specific task. So far, what you have done is all of your calculation of your input reading, everything you put in your main method. So what we are going to do by using these methods, we are going to separate them into smaller chunks of codes that we call as a method. Okay, so each method is assigned to perform a specific subtask. For example, one method is used to calculate rectangle area. Another method is used to calculate the perimeter of a rectangle. So we assign specific tasks to one method, to each of the methods. So we are using divide and conquer technique where we say that it is easier to tackle smaller tasks individually because we have specific method for specific tasks. Okay, so to give you a brief idea about method, so this is one simple code for you. So in this code, we have a main method and we have 3 SOPs here. Test, I like Java, and also Java is very interesting. So if we are going to separate this code into another method, so this is how we will do. So below code is where we have divided the codes into methods. So we have main method here. So main is also one of the methods that we have. Another one is the display method here. So instead of having one full code in the main method, now we have separated them with another method here. We have public static void display, and inside this display we have I like SOP, I like Java, and also it is interesting. In the main method we have test. So this is example of method that we can use. So instead of putting SOP together here like previous example, so we have a method call here display. Display is our method name. So once we call this method, the execution will go to the method and execute whatever you have in this method and go back to the caller again. Okay, there is another example here. This is about class rectangle. So now we want to calculate the area of the rectangle. So we have the declaration and initialization of the width and height, 10 and 30. After that, we calculate the area and we print out the area. So if we are going to chunk this into separate method, it will look like this. So we have the main method and also we have another part of your code which is calculate rectangle method. So there are two parts of your codes here. So in the main method, we just declare the variables, and here we have the method call for the calculate area method. So what we do is that we will call this method and we will execute all this. So the calculation of your area will be done in the method, not in the main method. So it will be done in this calculate rectangle method, and your SOP also inside the calculate rectangle method. So if you compare with the previous one, everything is put together in the main method. But here we chunk them into separate codes. So this is where we have individual tasks, and this method is only for calculating rectangle. So we do the calculation of rectangle inside this method. So when we want to use the calculate rectangle method, we have to call the method. So this is where you call the method. So we will learn about this more. But for now, you just understand that when we use method, we are actually separating the codes into small chunks, parts of your code by using the method. Okay, to create a method, you have to write the definition of the method. So when we say method definition, it is consists of the method header and body. Okay, another thing that you need to know is about the method call. So once you have a method, definition, meaning you already have the method header and also the method body, then you will have to call the method. If you don't call the method, the method will not be executed at all. So that's why you need to have the method call. So the statement that we use to call the method is known as method call. So when a method is called, the statement in the method's body will be executed, and it will jump back to the method caller. So we will see example here. So this is the flowchart to represent methods. So you start your flowchart with the main. So because each of our code should be traced from the main, so everything should start from main. So in the main, in this example, in the main, you have SOP display. You display I have a message for you. So after you display I have a message for you, this one represents the method call. So as I said earlier, when you talk about a method, you need to know how to define the method. You need to know how is the method definition, and also you need to know how to call the method. So this representation is used for calling the method. So we have a rectangle and we have vertical bars at left and right of the rectangle. Okay, so after this method call, you are going to print the that's all false. So this is what you have in your main method. Okay, this is not showing yet your execution of your method show message, but you have to you need another flowchart, sub flowchart for the show message method. So everything that we do in the show message method will be represented in the sub flowchart that I will show you later. Okay, so here we have method show message together with the main method. So in the main method, firstly you are going to display this I have a message for you, and then you are going to have a method call show message. Show message is your method name. So when you call this method show message, you have to do another sub flowchart. As I said, this is the sub flowchart. So in this sub flowchart is the definition of the method show message. So whatever you want to execute in this show message method should be represented here. Okay, so the header of your method should be the name of your method. And after that, you execute anything that you want to execute here. So in this example, we are just going to display hello world. Okay, after that, after you have finished, if you have more execution here, as usual, you have to put it after this. And the last should be return. So this return represents that there is no you just return to the caller. So this is the caller of this method. So you come to this method and you execute everything and you return to the caller. So whatever you have some more after that, you have to finish it up. Okay, the method definition contains two parts. Which is the header and body. Header is the starting point of your method, and the body contains all the statements that you need to perform in the method's task. Okay, for example, here we have public static void show message. So this part is your method header. Oh, sorry. This part is your method header. And after method header, you have to put curly braces, open and close curly braces. So this is your body of your method. So in this example, we only have one SOP. So if you have more, you can just add, and it should be before the close curly braces. There are two types of methods. Methods can return 0 or no or 1 value. Your method can be a method which doesn't return anything, or it can return some value. But the value that can be returned by a method is only one. You cannot return more than one value. Okay, we will see the example of method header here. So the syntax is to have the modifier and then the return type, method name, and after that you have the formal parameter list. Okay, so let's see one by one. So in programming 1, you are going to learn about static method. So we are not going to learn about the ordinary method. That one you are going to learn in programming 2. So for this programming 1, you are just going to use this public static. So your modifier will always be public static. So the return type, as I said earlier, we have two types of method. So if your method is a non-returning value, it doesn't return any value, then you have to use the word void. If your method is returning some value, you have to put the data type of the value that you are returning, that the method is returning. So meaning if you see here double, so your method is going to return a double value to the caller. Okay. Next one is your method name. You can have method names like you give name to your variables, but usually uh, we use verbs to represent our method name. So if you see here show message is and it should be something meaningful. So when the method is going to show message just to display, so you just use show message. For the next example is deposit. So this method might be asking deposit money. So we use the name as deposit. If you notice here, there is a main. Main is actually a one type of void method. So if you see here, these two examples are void method and the next two are value returning methods. So how do you know it is a value returning method? You see the return type. So the void method, the method that doesn't return any value, we have to use a void, and the method that returns a value, you have to use the data type that you're going to return. Okay, so more example for you. Another example, we have here method public static void show message. So in this show message method, we are just declaring and initializing one variable name, and we initialize to Ali. And we have system.println hello plus name. So this is actually, if you refer to the method header, this is a void method because the void is here. So it shows that this method doesn't return anything. So what we do here, we just declare and we are going to print hello Ali. So the variable that we declare inside a method, we call it as local data. So this variable that you declare inside a method is only accessible within these curly braces. So meaning it is only accessible inside the method. If you try to print out the variable name from the main, you are not going to get it because it is not recognized by main. It is only recognized within this method. Okay, once you already have your method, you need to know how to call the method. So to syntax to call a method is to put the class name dot method name and actual parameter list. The parameter list we will skip for a while. We will learn in part 2. Okay, so if you are calling a method from similar class, then you just put the method name, show message. But if you are calling from different classes, then you have to put the class name dot method name. So here we have hello2 and hello2 dot show message. Okay, let's see the actual code here. So referring to our previous flowchart, you have the main method and also your show message method. So in the main method, we just want to print I have a message for you. And then if you see here, this is the method call. So when you have the method call, the execution flow will go to search and search for the method. So if this method is calling method show message, so you will go and search where is method show message and it will execute the code here until the end. So since this one only have one line of code, so you're going to print hello world. After you print hello world, the execution flow will go to the the next line after the method call. So after that, after you call this method, you execute this and you go back to the method caller. The statement after the method caller. So finally you are going to get I have a message for you output, and after that is hello world, and the last one will be that's all Fox. Okay, this is the representation of your class. So let's say we have class hello 2. So inside your main you call show message method. So it will go and search for show message method, and it will execute whatever inside the show message method and come back to the caller and execute whatever you have here after the method call. But if you have two different classes, let's say you have class 1 and class 2. So this is your main. What will happen is that you have to use, when you want to call the method, you have to use the class name dot method name. So here we are trying to call method doit. Method doit is in class 2. So that's why when you call method doit, you use class 2 dot doit. So what will happen if you have this method call? It will go and search this class 2, and it will search where is method doit, and it will execute whatever you have in method doit. And if you see here, there is another method call. So we are calling method help me. So after we have doit, we call method help me. So the execution will go to the method help me and come back to the caller, which is after the help me method call. And then you will execute whatever you have in method doit and go back to the caller, which is in class 1. So after you go to the method caller, it will execute everything that you have inside this main method, and it will end the execution. So that is how method works. When you have method call, you will go to the method itself and execute everything that you have there, and you will come back to the method caller again. Okay, so we have one exercise here. Just identify what are the method names here that you have, and then identify which one is the method header and which one is the method body. And after that, try to search which line shows the method call and what is the output. Okay, try this out and see whether you have understood about method. Okay, next is about global variables. So as I explained just now, we have local variable. Local variable is the variable that we declare inside a method, and it is only accessible throughout the method. Okay, so besides that, we also have another kind of variable which we call it as global variable. So this global variable is accessible to all methods within the class. Like local variable just now, it is only accessible within the method. But if you declare a variable as global, all of the methods that you have in the class can access the variable. So in order to make your variable to become global, you have to use public static keyword in front of your variable declaration, and you should put the declaration up after your class header. Okay, so for example, we have public class calculate mean. So here I want to make scanner scan equals to new scanner as global. So what I do is I put the keyword public static in front of it. And after that, I want to have a string name as global. So I declare a string name together with the public static keyword. So whatever method that I have here in this class can access the value of name. Okay, we will do some exercise so that you can understand more. But for now, the thing that you need to understand is we have two types of variables, local and global. So local variable are the variables that you declare inside method, and it is only accessible within the methods. And global variable is the variable that you declare in a class outside of the method, and you use reserved word public static, and it is accessible by all of the methods within that class.